Hello, live NBA trade deadline show. We have um, the deadline coming up here in a little over an hour. There's a lot of trades that have happened, some that are to come. Obviously, the big one's Kevin Durant. He got moved last night. I did my thoughts on that deal on my morning show today, but we'll talk about it as the show moves along today. The most recent one we just got. Whoa, just tweeting out like he's a magician here. So the Warriors are trading James Weissman to the Pistons for Sadiq Bey, but Bey is going to the Hawks on a multi-year deal, like a multi-team trade. So maybe it looks like that um, John Collins could be going to the Warriors, maybe. And then we'll tweet out 5 minutes ago that the Nuggets are trading Bones Highland to the Clippers, and the Clippers will send Nuggets 2024 and 2025 second round picks. And then Shams tweets that the Thunder are trading Darius Bazley to the Suns for Dario Saric and a second round pick. So a lot is coming down right now. It's insane. And then Woj just said that the Hawks are sending 5 second round picks to the Warriors to acquire Bey. Whew, that is a lot to unpack. So the Warriors finally trade James Weissman. He's somebody that obviously hasn't worked out as the number 2 overall pick, and he just wasn't in the Warriors' plans. So they get a bunch of second round picks for a guy that really didn't pan out. Maybe they put those second round picks in another package in a separate deal. So this is somewhat confusing. And then Sadiq Bey on the Hawks. The Hawks have so many players. I think the Hawks are probably going to make one more move too, because now they have a lot of depth. And then regarding Bones Highland, I don't love that the Nuggets are trading Bones Highland. They must know something that we don't know. And the Clippers obviously get him. And I think that's a good ad for the Clips. But I just think it's head scratching that the Nuggets had traded him. So Darius Bazley to Phoenix gets some more wing depth after acquiring Kevin Durant and trading all those wings into Brooklyn. It's just absolutely bonkers. This last hour is going to be bonkers. I'm sitting here on my phone on Woj watch and on Shams watch and Chris Haynes watch over the next hour. Whatever trades break throughout the show, we will announce them. So, Chris Haynes says that Sadiq Bey will be rooted to Atlanta and James Weissman will be heading to Detroit, and that is something that others have reported as well. Okay, so deals that happened before we started this live broadcast, and now I got to pull up Woj's Twitter feed from deals that happened earlier in the day. The first trade that happened post Durant was the Boston Celtics acquiring Mike Muscala from the Thunder for Jackson in a couple of seconds. I like Mike Muscala. I predicted on the trade deadline premiere podcast I did on Sunday night with the Kyrie Irving trade that Muscala was going to get dealt, but I forgot where I had him going. But I do like this fit for Boston. He's a really good big man that can shoot, and I think Boston could use somebody like him. And then after acquiring Jay Crowder and the big Kevin Durant deal, Brooklyn sent him to Milwaukee, originally reported for 5 second-round picks, but 2 second-round picks went to Indiana with Jordan Nwaba. So the Bucks land the guy that they wanted to land this whole time in Jay Crowder. They are been obsessed with him forever, and they finally get him in the deal with Brooklyn. The Nuggets before the Bone Time deal, acquired Thomas Bryant from the Los Angeles Lakers for Devon Reed and 3 second-round picks. So I guess it looks like the Lakers are just recouping picks after trading away some of those picks for Rui Hachimura. Love the deal for Denver because they upgraded at backup center over DeAndre Jordan, and they absolutely needed that. So great ad for the Nuggets, but I don't like them trading Bones Highland, but that does open up some minutes for some younger players. Chris Haynes says that the Blazers are not trading Dame Lillard. We knew that already. All right, some Woj news. The Hawks are trading Justin Holiday and Frank Kaminsky to Houston for Garrison Matthews and Bruno Fernando. Odd trade. Don't know really what to make of it. I think Justin Holiday will probably just get bought out. I don't know why the Rockets are acquiring veterans. But Matthews and Bruno Fernando are 11th and 12th men. Fernando may be a little bit better than that. So some bench fillers for the Hawks. And I think that the Rockets will reroute Kaminsky and Holiday. The Sixers trade Matisse Thybulle to the Portland Trailblazers in a 3-team deal with Charlotte, as Charlotte sends Jaden McDaniels to Philly. The Hornets will get multiple second-round picks in the deal, and the Blazers are rooting Savai Mihailuk, who came in the Josh Hart trade, to Charlotte. I like Jalen McDaniels. I think he's a little bit better than Matisse Thybulle. He can shoot better than Matisse Thybulle. I think the Sixers have to do a little bit more, though, personally, if they want to compete with the Nets and the Bucks. Or, I'm sorry, the Celtics and the Bucks in the East. I don't know why I had the Nets in my head. The Celtics and the Bucks. Oh, my God. The Nets are probably going to fall out of the top 8. So those are the trades that have happened since I've come on. We got less than an hour to go now. So more with this Warriors deal. James Weissman. I think the Warriors had chances to sell higher on James Weissman in the past. I like Sadiq Bey. He's a good player. But he ended up on the Hawks. He's not on the Warriors. I think the Warriors need to do more. They get Weissman for all these second-round picks, and they really, have to do more at that, I think, if they want to compete with the Suns and the Nuggets in the West. And even the Grizzlies are up there, too, among Western Conference contenders. So for the Hawks, I like Sadiq Bey, but like I said, there's more trades coming for the Hawks. They just did the weird trade with the Rockets with Justin Holiday, which I thought was odd. And then the Clippers getting Bones Highland. I think that is a good addition for their bench. And I think that he will help the Clippers and gives some young guys some opportunities on Denver, like Christian Braun, to step up. A lot of people like him in that organization. So we'll see there. So the Pacers acquired George Hill in a second-round pick from the Bucks. So the Bucks are just clearing money to squeeze in Jay Crowder. So that, to me, makes sense. George Hill used to be on the Pacers. Don't forget they traded the pick that became Kawhi Leonard for him back in 2011. We know how that went down as probably the best trade in Spurs history, trading away George Hill for a pick that turned into Kawhi Leonard. So the Pacers reunite with George Hill after he was in Indiana about a decade ago. So after Durant got dealt last night, Toronto's talks on OG Anunoby are rolling into the final hours of the deadline. The landing of KD with the Suns could escalate Anunoby's value among Western Conference teams pursuing and leap forward to defend Durant. So I predicted that Memphis was going to be the team that lands OG. I think that would be a great ad for Memphis. I think like a crunch time of him, John Morant, Desmond Bain, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Steven Adams would be lethal. I don't think it would really knock off the Suns in the series, but it'll come close. But I think the fit with him in Memphis would be excellent. I also think the fit with him in New Orleans would be great as well. Let's talk about more about the Durant trade. I think it becomes the favorites in the West, the Suns. The Suns, to me, are the team to beat, not only in the Western Conference, but in the league with Durant. I think that Katie Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and to me, they just have to find that last guy to put in crunch time with them. I mean, Torrey Craig will probably start for them, but maybe somebody gets bought out or something, and they can add that other wing to go with Durant, preferably a small forward, so Durant could play at the 4 for them. So I really do love the Durant move for the Suns. For Brooklyn, obviously they flipped Crowder into that package with the picks from the Bucks, and some of those picks went to Indiana with Jordan Nwuba. Obviously, Mikal Bridges is the prize in that package. He's a really good two-way player. I think Brooklyn is potentially taking calls on Bridges, but ultimately, I think that they end up keeping Bridges to keep themselves sort of competitive in the Eastern Conference. We'll see if they end up dealing him. So it's going to be interesting to see what else Brooklyn does in this last hour plus. So Brooklyn guys that I think could be moved between now and the deadline: Seth Curry, Patty Mills, Joe Harris, Spencer Dinwiddie. I think they keep Dorian Finney-Smith, but maybe they move him too. Who knows? Nick Claxton's the keeper on the Brooklyn Nets. When I did the trade primer on Sunday night, and I did the Brooklyn Nets thing, keepers, and wait until the summer, I had Durant wait until the summer. I think they should have waited until the summer because they would have had more suitors for Durant. Maybe the Knicks were desperate enough to throw out 5 unprotected picks and RJ Barrett for him, and that would have been a pretty enticing package for KD. But I think I said this on my show this morning. KD forced the trade to Phoenix, and he has a lot of power in this league, and he wanted to be on the Suns. Kyrie Irving does not have that power that Durant has in the NBA. And from a Nets perspective, those Suns picks, at least the ones that are coming, are not going to be great. We don't know about the picks later on, but you never know. But with Booker and KD, those picks are probably going to be in the 20s, and the swap might not work out either. So I don't think the trade was bad from a Brooklyn perspective, but I think they could have done better. I think they could have waited to the summer and see if the Knicks could have been in play, or somebody like New Orleans with healthy Zion, and maybe they put Brandon Ingram on the table. Memphis, if they were to put Desmond Bain on the table. The Lakers, if they didn't do that weird trade with Utah, but the Utah trade worked out. All right, so Shams a minute ago. The Houston Rockets are finalizing deal to send Eric Gordon to the Los Angeles Clippers. I like that deal for the Clips. They add another guard. I'm interested to see what goes back to Houston in the deal. The Clippers are improving themselves on the fringes, which is good. I like the Bones Highland pickup for them. Now they get Eric Gordon. So now they have a lot of guard depth. Do they trade some of its forward depth, like Markieff Morris or somebody like that? They do have a lot of big depth, but they Woj said it's a multi-team trade with the Rockets. So maybe like Markieff Morris or Luke Kennard or some of like those guards. But yeah, the Clippers are deep at a lot of places. But for me, the Clips have a lot of name players that really haven't fit in with Kawhi and PG. It's very weird with the Clipper situation, but they had to do some things. So I like the Eric Gordon pickup for the Clippers. I'm interested to see who the third team is in that trade and who do the Clippers give up in the deal. So Eric Gordon started his career at the Clippers. Don't forget that, guys. He was dealt to New Orleans in the Chris Paul trade. Oh, so it looks like the Clippers are sending Luke Kennard to the Grizzlies in this 3-team deal. I did throw out Kennard's name, so Kennard goes to Memphis here. And I wonder what did the Rockets get? Does Memphis give up something in this deal? Oh, and then the Rockets are getting John Wall back in this trade? Oh my God, he's going to get bought out. John Wall will not be a Houston Rocket. He's going to get bought out, and he's going to go to a team that needs a backup point guard or something like the Miami Heat or something like that in a buyout. So, this is crazy. John Wall back to Houston, Luke Kennard to the Grizz. So the Clippers are changing up their roster a little bit with Bones and blanking on his name, Eric Gordon coming to LA. And now what's next for Houston? Like, do they just get John Wall in that deal? They gotta be getting more than John Wall in this trade. So it's interesting. Luke Kennard's probably gonna be a bench guy for Memphis, but not the worst pickup in the world for Memphis. Let's talk more about some trades that happened yesterday as some of these trades come in. We talked about Durant a lot already, and how I feel about the Suns and about the Nets, and what Brooklyn guys could be had if potentially that's the case, which I think it is. They already traded Jake Crowder today. The Knicks acquired Josh Hart from the Blazers for Cam Reddish and a first, which is 2023 top 14 protected. I like this deal for New York. Josh Hart can either start or come off the bench. His points per game went down from last year, but that's because he's playing with Damian Lillard, who came back from his injury, and Dame. It would make sense for the Knicks to trade a first because they have the Mavericks first, which, I mean, first round picks that are not in the lottery are hard to hit when it comes to like getting like a star. But the reaction I saw on Twitter was acting like the Knicks had those Lakers picks and they traded them with Cam Reddish for Josh Hart. Like, Cam Reddish, to me, wasn't a great player. He only had one good game with the Knicks, which was opening night against the Grizzlies. And he obviously fell out of the rotation. And Josh Hart's a much better player. And like I said earlier, Hart's points per game was down because he's playing with Damian Lillard, who is one of the best scoring guards in the league and is a little bit of a ball hog at times. So, and not that I suggest that Hart's points per game are going to go up with the Knicks, which I don't expect them to because he's going to be playing with Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson. But he does things that the Knicks need. They need more help defensively. They need better wing depth. Josh Hart isn't a great three-point shooter, but you never know. Guys get hot from three sometimes. He's a great defender. He is a great rebounding guard, which Tom Thibodeau preaches. So, there's another trade. But what is it? So, no, actually, it's not. It's a part of a trade. Tim McMahon says the Rockets will get Rice to swap Bucks pick with the Clippers this year as a part of the deal. So I don't think that pick swap's going to work out for the Rockets because all right, so who has emerged for OG Anunoby according to Shams, it looks like here. Who is it, New Orleans or Memphis? I'm trying to watch this Shams video here. This was what's fun about this YouTube live show. So I could just like react. Oh, Shams just tweets. The Los Angeles Clippers. Wait a minute. You mean the Los Angeles Lakers are trading Patrick Beverley to Orlando for Mo Bamba? He said the Clippers. The Lakers are trading Patrick Beverley to the Magic for Mo Bamba. Pat Beverley is going to get bought out by the Magic. I just don't see him lasting there. Mo Bamba replacing Thomas Bryant. So that makes a lot of sense. And Mo Bamba's had a career year this year at the Magic. So the Lakers get somebody with potential and could replace the production that Thomas Bryant left behind. So good backup center for the Lakers here, getting from the Magic, as Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer is so, excited because he's obsessed with Mo Bamba. But the Magic get a vet now, but I just don't see the point in the Magic keeping him. I just don't. He's a good player, Patrick Beverley, but I don't see Pat Bev having like that big of an impact on the Orlando Magic this season. We were talking about the Knicks and the Blazers deal from last night. Like I said, I like it for the Knicks, and I also do like it for Portland. I don't hate it for them either. To get a first-round pick from the Knicks, which is going to be in the teens most likely, unless the Knicks miss the postseason, which is very unlikely with the KD trade. And also the Blazers get a guy in Cam Reddish who has bounced around a little bit, which is not a good sign. He was on the Hawks, and the Hawks passed him to the Knicks. Now he's on the Blazers. But sometimes guys on the Blazers tend to like find themselves. So just yet another example of Portland getting a guy that no pressure and in a small market that could just thrive. So that's that. Another trade that happened last night before the big Kevin Durant deal, it was minutes before, the Toronto Raptors get Jakob Poeltl from the Spurs for Kern Bach, a 2024 first-round pick. And I think there was a second in there too. And I want to say that it was 2024 first-rounder. But, yeah. Oh, so we found out the Mystery West team in on OG Anunoby. Of freaking course it's the Golden State Warriors. And maybe Kuminga, Moody, and the picks can get it done. And that's the move. And they're right back there with the Suns and the Nuggets in the West. But I still put the Suns ahead because the Suns have that Kevin Durant guy, and the Warriors don't have a healthy Stephen Curry right now. So back to the Spurs deal for Pirtle. So a protected 2024 first round pick and 2 future seconds, and Kim Burke for Pirtle. So the Raptors doing a little bit of buying and selling here. I wonder what the protections are on the pick that's going to San Antonio. And whether the Spurs can get that deal in 2024. It looks like they might because I don't think the Raptors are going to be tanking in 2024. I know it looks like they're going to trade OG Anunoby, but so it's interesting. I'm wondering if OG pulls off, or the Warriors pull off this OG deal. That would just be something if they got him. A team that I would like to hear from before the deadline today is New Orleans. I think that nobody's talking about the clock on Zion. Everyone's talking about the clock on Luka Doncic, and rightfully so, and that's why they went out and got Kyrie. And I don't think we have to worry about John Morant yet because that team has a better chance to win the championship than New Orleans and Dallas. So I don't think we have to talk about John Morant yet. The Pelicans are under some pressure. Maybe they pony up some picks, maybe a couple Laker picks and Bucks picks to Toronto for OG. So the Pelicans, to me, are under some pressure to make a move here in the last 36 minutes plus. So Shams reporting, speaking of the Pelicans, right on cue, they get Josh Richardson from the San Antonio Spurs. And that's a bench player. I mean, that is a bench player. I was hoping that the Pelicans would go out and make a move for a star or a good starter like OG Anunoby. Josh Richardson will help them, but the fact that the Pelicans are going big tells me that something's not really right with Zion, like from an injury standpoint. So I think the Pelicans are under pressure. Obviously, Golden State without Curry. Sacramento, they haven't been heard from yet. I'd like to see them join the party. Will they trade Rashawn Holmes in a package for something? Harrison Barnes, maybe. So that's another team I'm looking here for, Sacramento. I get a sense that the Lakers are done dealing. Maybe one more. I think the Clips have done a nice job. The Suns obviously get the big fish that everybody wanted. Will the Mavs make one more move? So we'll see about that. The Spurs just traded Josh Richardson. I'm interested to see their return. They didn't do bad in the Pirtle deal. The Rockets traded Eric Gordon, but we don't know if there's draft compensation in that or not. We talked about the Grizzlies and the Pels. The Timberwolves do the Mike Conley deal with the Jazz and the Lakers. I don't love the fact that they traded D'Angelo Russell. I think he's been really good for them this season, but I think that they feel that he's not a great fit with Cat and Anthony Edwards, and that's why they got Conley, who's a playoff-tested veteran. But I still don't like that deal for him. I think the Lakers and the Jazz did better in that trade than Minnesota. And now Minnesota has Conley, Towns, Edwards, and Gobert. Now, who's the fifth guy for them in crunch time is the question. From Woj, the Pistons are sending Kevin Knox to the Warriors as part of the multi-team deal that brings them James Wiseman. So Kevin Knox is just being passed around in every trade. Former lottery pick of the Knicks, was on the Hawks in the Reddish deal, and then he got moved to the Pistons. Or did the Pistons sign him as a free agent? And then they move him here to Golden State. He's just going to be a bench piece for Golden State that shoots threes. So that's interesting. We talked about Portland trading Josh Hart. I mean, do they end up trading Nurkic? Do they trade Jeremy Grant? I don't think they'll trade Anthony Simons at all. You also have the Jazz. Do they trade Kelly Olynyk? They already dealt Mike Conley and Jared Vanderbilt and Malik Beasley, as we discussed. I think the Lakers really did a good job remaking their team these last 36 hours or so. I really do, especially after the whole Westbrook debacle and getting 3 players for that pick that everybody wanted. So that's interesting. The Thunder trade Darius Beasley to the Suns. They trade Mike Muscala. But I was hoping the Thunder would do actually like a move that would help them this year and trade one of those Clipper picks for a starting center or something like that. I know Poku's been better, but Poku's not what he was hyped up to be early on in his career. You also have the Nuggets who acquired Thomas Bryant. I like that for them. And then they trade Bones Highland for a couple of seconds. Do they have one more move in them? We'll go to the East, the Chicago Bulls. There's whispers that they're talking with the Knicks about Zach LaVine, but I don't like the idea of Zach LaVine on the Knicks, let alone any team for a high price. It's because of his knees. It's because of his knees. And I don't think Zach LaVine is a franchise player. He's an all-star like Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, but he's not a franchise player per se. I don't think DeRozan's going to be on the move. I don't think Vucevic will move. Maybe Alex Caruso. We got a half hour to go. Indiana makes the move for Jordan Nwora with a couple seconds, and then George Hill too. So they reinforce themselves on the fringes a little bit. Miles Turner's obviously off the trade market with that extension. You have the Cavs who need a small forward. Got 3 minutes. They are desperate for one, I think. And maybe they use Karis LeVert for that. Bojan Bogdanovic, will the Pistons move him? They go out and get James Wiseman. Why do the Pistons always end up with the first-round bust guys like Bagley and Weissman? And didn't Okafor end up on the Pistons at one point too? Jahlil Okafor? And then Chris Haynes just reported that Thomas Bryant requested a trade from the Lakers after his minutes diminished once Anthony Davis came back. I don't think that was a bad trade for the Lakers because they ended up finding a good replacement and recoup on some picks a little bit. I didn't like it in the beginning, but they ended up getting Mo Bamba, who could replace production that he did, especially with a career year. Also, the Bucks, they get George Hill off their team and they get Jay Crowder on the team. I think that was a money thing, why they got rid of George Hill. But maybe they get somebody else to replace Hill, Derrick Rose of the Knicks, maybe. And then you got the the Miami Heat in the Southeast Division. Will they make a move? They haven't been heard from yet. I think they need some help, especially on their bench. They're probably upset that they didn't land Kevin Durant. The Hawks, they're just shuffling role players. At this point. So maybe they do something else later. You have the Hornets who did the Jaden McDaniels deal. Their veterans are still on the market. Rozier, Hayward. Do they get bought out? My God, that would be a disaster if they have to buy those guys out. Yikes. The Wizards, I don't think they're moving any big names. Bradley Beal will have more suitors in the summer. I think they're stupid because they didn't move Kyle Kuzma in the contract there and he could walk unless they extend him. And then you have Porzingis, who's playing great right now. And nobody's biting on him either. But the reason why they aren't moving anybody is because the Nets trade Durant, the play-in spots are open. And that's why I think there's actually a possibility that Orlando might keep Patrick Beverley and might do some other things. This Kevin Durant trade opened the door up for some of these other teams. And then we talked about Orlando a little bit with the Beverly thing for Mo Bamba. You got the Atlantic Division, the Nets we talked about a lot already. Could Seth Curry, Joe Harris, Dorian Finney-Smith, Spencer Dinwiddie, Mikal Bridges. Could any of these guys be moved within the next half hour or so? We'll see. Could my beloved New York Knicks make another move? Could they get another like wing type of player and trade from their to a big man between Jericho Sims and Isaiah Hartenstein? So that's another one. And they're obviously not trading Mitchell Robinson unless it was for like Joel Embiid or something like that. But Joel obviously isn't on the market right now, and I don't think he will be unless if the Sixers self-combust in a really, really bad way within the next 18 months or so. Speaking of the Sixers, they get Jaden McDaniels, but I don't know if that's enough for them. I think that they need to make another move using Furkan Korkmaz. You also have the Celtics who trade for Mike Muscala earlier in the day. I think that they're okay. And then the last team in that division, the Raptors, all eyes are on OG Anunoby. All eyes are on OG. We'll see what happens. I'm still not over the fact that the Suns got Kevin Durant at 1 o'clock in the morning last night. I don't think anybody expected that at this deadline. I thought that if Durant was going to be traded, it was going to be over the summer, but it was not over the summer. It was last night at 1 o'clock in the morning, as yours truly heard a bunch of vibrates, and I thought that something big happened, and sure enough, something big happened. The Brooklyn Nets trade Kevin Durant to the Suns. If I had to do the pecking order in the West right now, I think the Suns and the Nuggets are in the top tier. The next tier beneath them, I think, are Memphis and Golden State. But if Golden State makes an OG and an OB move, then they'll move up into that next tier. But right now I have them in the tier with Memphis. New Orleans, I'm going to have in that tier too, assuming that their whole team is healthy. Next tier down, the LA teams, Sacramento, and I'm also going to put Minnesota in that tier too, even though I don't like that D'Angelo Russell trade for them. So Suns and the Nuggets at the top. And then I would go in no order, second tier, Grizzlies, Golden State, New Orleans, assuming that team is healthy. Next tier down, Clippers, Lakers, Minnesota. So is that your top 8? Are those your 8 playoff teams in the West? I would also put Sacramento in that Lakers tier as well. That's how I would tier the West right now. And in the East, I'd say it's Boston and Milwaukee at the top. Philly's kind of like the B of the top tier. So they're like a 1.5. But if they make a move in the next 23 minutes plus, I'd put them right back up with that group. But I just think they need more than Jaden McDaniels, Philadelphia. Tier 2 in the East, I would say it's Miami. It is Atlanta. And the Cavaliers, I would also put in that tier as well, unless they get a small forward. And then I'll redo my East tiers, and I put Cleveland by itself, or maybe in line with Philadelphia. And then Miami, Atlanta in the third tier, and then obviously Boston, Milwaukee. So right now, Boston, Milwaukee, and it feels kind of like a 1.5. Tier 2 right now, I would have Cleveland, Miami, and Atlanta. Tier 3, I would have the Knicks. I would have I feel like the Knicks are probably in the Miami, Atlanta tier, but I'm just higher on Miami and Atlanta than the Knicks personally. Unless if the Knicks somehow trade for OG Anunoby, then maybe they go up. But maybe the Knicks are like a 2.5. And then the next group I'd say is Brooklyn, Indiana, the Wizards, and the Raptors, I'd say are the next tier. And I'd still put Brooklyn in that tier because I don't think they're truly awful. They still have some players on that team. And I really like Mikal Bridges. And then Orlando, I'd say, is kind of like a 3.5. And then obviously the bottom of the barrel is Charlotte and Detroit. The Bulls, I would actually put in that Toronto trade. Hornets are trading center Mason Plumlee to the Clippers. Clippers back up big. Didn't really replace Hartenstein, so they needed depth at the 5. So they get a backup center in Plumlee, probably a second rounder going to Charlotte or something like that. So back to the tiers for a second. I would put the Bulls in that Brooklyn, Indiana Wizards group, and the Raptors. I put those teams all together. So it's Indiana, Chicago, Toronto, Brooklyn, Wizards. That's 5 teams. Knicks, I could think, are kind of by themselves. And then I'd say Cleveland, Miami, Atlanta. Philly kind of by themselves. They're a 1.5. And then it's Boston and Milwaukee. And then again, my West tiers as of now, tier 1, it's Denver and it's the Suns. I can't disrespect Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets and what they've done this season to not put them on the top tier. But they have a contender with them now in the Suns. Tier 2 right now, I'd say, is Memphis, healthy New Orleans, and who did I say? Memphis, healthy New Orleans, and there was another team I said was in the second tier. I forget who it was. Tier 3, Sacramento, the 2 LA teams, and Minnesota. But who the heck was it that I had in that tier with Memphis and Oh, the Mavericks. The Mavs are in that tier. But there's someone else I threw in that tier too. I forget who it was. So West tiers. Denver, Phoenix, tier 1. Tier 2 is Dallas, New Orleans, Memphis. Tier 3, LA, Sacramento, and Minnesota. The next group down, I'd say, is Portland, Utah. And then the bottom of the barrel is San Antonio, Houston. And there's one more bottom of the barrel in the West. I can't think of who it is. Oklahoma City, I would probably put in that Portland tier. So that's that. Just waiting on some more trades, and I'll reevaluate my NBA tiers as we go on here. And I really could look back and say, oh, I was wrong on my tiers of how I feel about the NBA teams. But I'm very interested to see if OG goes. So again, West tiers, it's Denver and it's Phoenix in tier 1. Tier 2, I have the Pelicans, the Grizz, and Dallas. Tier 3, Lakers, Clippers, Minnesota, Sacramento. So one of those 5 teams isn't going to be in the postseason and lose in the play-in tournament. The next tier down, I'd say, is Portland, the Thunder, and then the Jazz, and I forgot about Golden State. They're in that second tier, Dallas. I knew I was missing somebody, and it was somebody important. So Golden State's in tier 2. So yeah, the tier 4, I have Portland, I have Oklahoma City, and I have Utah. And then the bottom of the barrel is San Antonio and the Rockets, and in the east bottom of the barrel is Charlotte and the Pistons. So there's 4 bottom of the barrel teams, 2 in each conference. So the West is settled. It's the bottom of the barrel is the Spurs and the Rockets. Next tier up is Portland, it's Utah, and it's the Thunder. That's tier 4. Tier 3 be Clippers, Lakers, Sacramento, Minnesota. Tier 2 would be Golden State, Memphis, New Orleans, and Dallas. And then tier 1 is obviously Phoenix and Denver. East tiers, right, real quick, barring any more moves. Tier 1 is Boston and Milwaukee. Tier 1.5 is Philly. And I say 1.5 because I can't decide whether to put them at 1 or 2, depending on some moves. Tier 2 is Miami, Atlanta, and Cleveland. Tier 2.5 is just the New York Knicks. Tier 3 is a big one. It's Toronto, it's Brooklyn, it's Indiana, it's the Wizards, and it is the Bulls. Tier 3.5 is the Magic by themselves because they're too good to be in the bottom of the barrel, and they're not that good enough to be with the teams competing for the play-in spots. And then obviously it is the Pistons and the Hornets at the bottom of the barrel. Do we have any more trades to report as we are closing in on the trade deadline? Biggest name moved, and then the next 15 minutes, if there is one, I'm going to say it is going to be, I feel like there's going to be one at the buzzer. I don't know who it's going to be. let's go with OG Anunoby, and I'm going to say he goes to Golden State, the Pelicans, or Memphis. So there are two teams that if one of those teams got him, they go to tier 1, especially if it's Golden State. So it looks like a Patrick Beverley and a Minnesota reunion is in the works. Would he get traded there, or would he get bought out? My goodness. The Atlanta Hawks plan to keep John Collins past the trade deadline. My goodness. That guy's been on the trade market for 3 years, and they still never freaking moved him. That is just insane. That's just sad. And someone on NBA Twitter just said it's the NBA's oldest tradition. It's accurate. The NBA's oldest tradition is John Collins being on the trade market and not being dealt. So that's absolutely wild. And the Hawks are just a weird ass team with some named players and flashy players that play well at times. Oh, this part I didn't hear. Reggie Jackson's going to the Hornets in the Mason Plumlee deal, so it looks like he's probably going to get bought out. So Reggie Jackson not on the Clippers anymore, and neither is John Wall. So it's going to be interesting to see how these next few minutes go. I can't believe John Collins is still on that weird Hawks team. Like I said, they're a tier 2 team in the East with Miami and Cleveland. But that's just a weird team. And Trae Young could be the next big name star that gets moved, whether it's the summer or next season. I mean, it's just crazy how the Durant deal has happened like so quick for the Suns. And that's obviously what this trade deadline is going to be remembered for. The Brooklyn Nets and the what ifs with Durant in that era, and how Durant had his foot on the line against the Bucks. And if he was like an inch back, obviously they win that game, and who knows, maybe they win the championship. There's a lot of people that say that they would have, but that's not guaranteed. Maybe the Suns win, maybe they lose to the Hawks in the conference finals, but probably not, because the Hawks, probably weren't going to beat anybody in the conference finals that year. So as part of the Richardson deal, the Spurs get the Pelicans second-round picks in 24, 26, 28, and 29. So that is a lot of second-round picks. The second-round picks are being passed around a lot. And I just ran up a fun stat. 28 of the 30 NBA teams have made an in-season trade. The Bulls have not. And then the Cavs are the other. So the Cavs got to get that small forward. That's something I'm looking at. Maybe they get Mikal Bridges. That would be a lot of fun. Oh, here we go. The Blazers are trading Gary Payton to the Warriors for 5 second-round picks. 5 second-round picks. 5 second-round picks going to Portland. And I said Peckin, like I'm combining Peyton and the word picks. But there has to be one more big Warriors deal coming. So the Warriors are rooting Kevin Knox to the Blazers via multi-team deal with the Pistons. So Gary Payton back in Golden State. So Golden State really just making their team. So I don't think it's good enough for Golden State, especially with Durant in Phoenix, and the Nuggets are riding high right now. So it's gonna be an interesting couple of minutes. But the Warriors, I think, gotta do more. Um, oh, this I missed. The Grizzlies are reportedly sending Danny Green and 3 second-round picks to the Clippers in the deal to land Luke Kennard. Kennard still has 2 years for 30 left on his deal. So Danny Green to the Clippers in 3 seconds. So the Clippers are recouping on second-round picks. It looks like Shams just tweeted another video, but it's related to the Durant deal. So this has been an interesting last hour. So there's still more to come. We had a random hockey trade in the middle of this NBA trade deadline with the Rangers acquiring Vladimir Tarasenko from the Blues, but that's another podcast for another day. We'll discuss on tomorrow's regular show. So 5 second-round picks going to Portland for Gary Payton II. So long live Gary Payton II in Portland. Ian Bagley of SNY. On Zach LaVine, Knicks communicated to someone earlier this afternoon that trade for LaVine was highly unlikely to happen. Good. I do not like the idea of Zach LaVine on my team. He has bad knees, and the Knicks would be stupid to give up multiple first-round picks to the Bulls for a guy that has bad knees. And that's as good as a player Zach LaVine is, but I don't know if I'd like to fit with him and Randall Barrett and Brunson. Looks like LaVine is staying with the Bulls for now, and they are going to wait till the summer to trade him, which is the right move. Maybe the Orlando Magic called the Bulls in the summer and say, hey, we'll offer you a bunch of picks for Zach LaVine. We need a guard, a scoring guard. That makes a lot of sense. Zach LaVine on the Orlando Magic is a trade I want to see in the summer. Like, that makes a lot of sense. So Reggie Jackson will probably get bought out by the Clippers, or I'm sorry, by the Hornets, because so I don't know where Reggie Jackson would land. I still can't believe 5 second-round picks for GP2. I'm seeing some people in the comments here. Zach LaVine gets us out of the second round. No, he doesn't. No, he absolutely doesn't. Not against the likes of Boston and Milwaukee. No way. Zach LaVine is a really good player, but he has bad knees. He's always injured. I want no part of him if I'm an NBA GM. And if you're the Bulls, you're hoping that a desperate GM would trade for LaVine. But LaVine, I don't think is going anywhere. If I'm the Bulls, I wait until the summer and wait for a team that is trying to win next summer, like the Magic, call and make a ridiculous offer for him. And the Magic do make sense because obviously the Magic and the Bulls worked together in the past with Nikola Vucevic. So, come on. 5 minutes to go. And we need some more trades. My favorite trade that's not the Kevin Durant trade, in terms of an impact on a team, I really like Muscala in Boston. I think that is a much needed addition for the bench for that team. A deal I didn't like was Denver dealing Bones Highland. I know Denver likes a lot of their young guys like Christian Braun, but Bones Highland was awesome for them this season, and I think he's going to be good on the Clippers, but they must know more than we do with that. I thought that was odd that they traded away Bones Highland. And I do like the Thomas Bryant pickup for them. They needed an upgrade over DeAndre Jordan. Cavaliers need a small forward in the worst way possible. That's the one I'm looking for right now. The really they need an upgrade at small forward in the worst way possible, or else they're not getting out of the first round. Or maybe they do still get out of the first round, but I'm picking Miami over the Cavs in the series right now because of Jimmy Butler. Like, I don't think they can get by Miami without an upgraded small forward. And then speaking of the Miami Heat, I guess they're not trading Kyle Lowry. So that is really interesting. So it looks like that Christian Wood is staying put in Dallas. Probably the right thing for the Mavs because they traded a lot of their depth for Kyrie Irving. So probably a good thing if you're the Mavs. Season expiring, they clear up cap space. The Mavs had to do the Kyrie deal, I think. I mentioned that several times. Luka's on the clock with the Mavs. I think Zion's on the clock. And that's why I think the Pelicans need to do something bigger than Josh Richardson. Like, Josh Richardson is a bench guy. He literally had one good season with the Miami Heat and didn't live up to that play ever again. So I'm not the biggest fan of Josh Richardson there. But if there is a big one that's going to happen within the next couple minutes, I think it's going to be OG Anunoby. So we talked about the Hawks keeping John Collins. So it looks like the Rockets got Danny Green. So they're going to buy him out. John Wall's going to get bought out too. John Wall maybe to Miami. Danny Green to Philly. The Mo Bamba trade I like for the Lakers. And there's rumors that Pat Beverly might go back to the Timberwolves, which a combo of him and Mike Conley isn't bad. But I just liked how D'Angelo Russell. So we have a minute away until the deadline. Actually, we're at 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pencils down. It's 3 o'clock. And the NBA trade deadline is over. So they just need the trade calls to go through. So no deals could be agreed upon after 3 o'clock, but the trade calls can still conceivably happen. There's going to be trades that are announced after 3 o'clock because it's just the reality of the situation. So we're going to stay on for another 10 minutes to see if anything happens within the next couple of minutes. So at most we'll stay on is 10 minutes. If not 5 maybe. Hands up, utensils down, as we all say. So as we mentioned, Christian Wood is staying in Dallas. John Collins is staying in Atlanta. Don't see anything out yet that is worth noting. So I'll probably open my regular show tomorrow with the deadline and winners and losers, and what deals happened and what didn't happen. that didn't happen while we're streaming here. Um, I just think there's a lot of um, spoiled fans on the internet demanding their favorite teams to do something big, and they don't. They're just jealous that the Suns got Kevin Durant and you didn't. And Brooklyn Net fans are crying and making fun of teams that are being fleeced with other deals, or what they feel is teams are being fleeced with other deals, because they know they just got fleeced and they have nothing else better to do with themselves. So the buyout market's interesting too. I think that has opened up a little bit with John Wall, Danny Green, some other guys that I think are possible buyout guys. So um, we do not have any random up. They decided to keep this guy tweet. So sorry, there's a lot of like Ranger fans texting me about the Vlad Tarasenko deal and such during this show. So like I said, we'll address that on a different show, probably tomorrow. But yeah, the buyout market's interesting. Like I said, Danny Green, John Wall. I thought maybe Jay Crowder, but he got shipped to Milwaukee. Doug McDermott, maybe the Charlotte guys like Rozier and Hayward, which would be nuts. But the buyout market's going to be interesting, and I think that'll help some of these contenders like the Heat and maybe the Clippers and the Lakers. So, to recap, from Sunday to now, Kyrie to Dallas, Westbrook to Utah, with Conley to Minnesota and D'Lo to the Lakers. Obviously, Durant to the Suns with Bridges and Cam Johnson and everybody going in that trade. Eric Gordon to the Clippers for John Wall and Luke Kennard to the Grizzlies in that trade. Danny Green to the Rockets. Surprised there's no picks in that deal going to Houston. Sadiq Bey to the Hawks in a trade that sends James Weissman to the Pistons. Pat Beverly for Mo Bamba. And then Gary Payton to the Warriors. That's what we've had over the last several minutes here and days. So OG Watch is still on. Nobody said that the Raptors are keeping him. So somebody tweets out Yaya Dubin. That's his name on Twitter, but it's Jared Dubin. Tweets that Masai Ujiri to go on TSN 1050 to talk about the deals he almost made. So it looks like that OG's probably staying for now until the summer. The Boston Celtics traded Noah Vonleh to the Spurs on January 5th as the NBA's first in-season deal. Since then, there has been 20 more trades. That includes a whopping 16 trades between yesterday and today. And there could be more coming, or different structures. That's Keith Smith of Celtics blog and Spot Track. Somebody said it's the best trade deadline of all time. Debatable. Kevin Durant got moved. So from that perspective, yeah, it would have been more fun if Kevin Durant got traded in the last hour, because then I would have reacted to that live, and that would have been awesome to react to. Bill Simmons says, wait, the trade deadline is over. Brooklyn is just keeping 9 wings. What the hell? I know, Bill Simmons. I'm thinking the same thing. I'm a big fan of yours, even though you're a Boston guy. But I'm thinking like you. Why the hell is Brooklyn keeping their 9 wings? But nobody said that Brooklyn's done. There's always that trade that breaks in the last couple minutes. So we're going to stay on for 3 more minutes. Minnesota is not expected to pursue a reunion with Patrick Beverley if he is bought out. That's according to Mark Stein of the New York Times. Actually, no, he's not with the New York Times anymore. He's with Substack now. I remember when Mark Stein was like the Woj of ESPN like 10 years ago, and he would be the newsbreaker and come on SportsCenter and all the big trades happen. And Mark Stein's still good at his job. Oh, it looks like they traded one of those second-round picks the Lakers did with Patrick Beverley for Mo Bamba. So the Magic get a second. So it looks like the Knicks are done making moves. So Josh Hart, just Josh Hart. So that's okay. The Raptors never turned out to be sellers, adding Jakob Poeltl. They'll have to make some harder decisions in the offseason, but Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster tested and leaned more about the value of several players. To me, that's saying they realized the Nets traded Kevin Durant, and we want to like make some small moves to improve themselves. So obviously, Jakob Poeltl. I mean, I want to say that's a small move. I think that helps them, but no OG Anunoby trade. Oh well. Maybe they'll trade him in the offseason when there's more suitors. So it looks like he's staying put. The fact that Brooklyn has 9 wings is just incredible. So it's insane. They trade Jay Crowder for a couple of second round picks, and it was reported 5, but some of them went to Indiana. Woj says that the Warriors will save roughly $7 million in luxury track this year and $30 million in on 23-24. Ian Bagley says that the Knicks will not have a deal that includes Obi Toppin at the deadline. That's good. I think they should keep Obi Toppin for now and use him as a part of a larger deal to improve yourselves in the summer. So I think the Knicks did the right thing by keeping Obi Toppin. So we're going to close the show now. Any deals that happen or reported happen after we're done recording, we'll discuss on the podcast tomorrow morning. This was a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll do one of these babies soon. Have a good day, everybody. Woo!